Welcome. We are a mother-daughter podcast about all things surrogacy. Together, we have brought 8 beautiful babies into this world, and we would like to share through education and knowledge about surrogacy with those who want to educate themselves on the topic. This is Stop.Sit.Surrogate.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back to Stop.Sit.Surrogate with Kennedy and Ellen. We are here today with a lovely guest. We're going to let her introduce herself. Go ahead and take it away.
Great. My name is Dawn Baker. I am the founder and CEO of US Surrogacy LLC, and we are in our 11th year of agency ownership and pushing 400 babies from 21 countries, including domestic.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I still pinch myself and kind of wonder how I got here. But yeah, we're mid-size, I think I would say mid-size agency, and working with surrogates throughout the US and anywhere that's safe, which is getting harder to find for surrogates here in the US.
Did you say 21 countries?
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to navigate all of that. I'm impressed.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got some countries I work in more than other locations, but over the years, yeah, we've had parents in the Congo, just some unusual places, Fiji Islands and things. So, I didn't think we had that many. And then at one point, someone on my team said, I wonder how many. So we counted the countries and we're really, really surprised. So yeah, one-offs. But the majority of the places I work, are pretty much throughout Europe and Middle East and Asia, things like that, kind of where you'll find a lot of surrogacy happening already in this country.
Okay, so the big question, or the main one, how did you get into owning an agency?
It was really by happenstance, and I had a friend who knew someone who'd been a surrogate before and was in the process of starting their own agency. They've been a surrogate more than once. And I actually had been flipping houses with my sister-in-law. So I had a bit of investment available, and she was looking to grow, right? She started already, but she was looking to grow. So I kind of stepped into that as an investor and hadn't really spent a lot of time thinking about surrogacy and what that really was. It was like almost 14 years ago. Now that can't be true. I guess maybe, 13 years ago. And yeah. And so I came in just from the financial side and started to really see what this process can do for families and how that can change the surrogate's life, the parent's life, of course. And then it stirred up a lot of old memories from my mid-20s when I actually was a fertility patient myself. My husband and I had a child right on schedule. When you're like 23, I think we're like, let's have a baby, and it was no problem. And then right after that, we tried to conceive again, and it was almost 5 years of infertility and medication. Undiagnosed secondary infertility was my diagnosis, and really stepping into the world of third party started to sort of bring back those memories. It'd been a long time. It'd been, a few decades. So I really started to feel passionate about the work that we were doing, and I wanted to be more involved. And after about a year, my business partner and I decided we weren't really a good fit for each other, and we ended up parting ways. So then I started just doing concierge for a while, helping families that were coming to the US that didn't have an agency that was sort of a full support. It was like, okay, well, once the baby's born, we're sort of done. And I realized there was this missing part for families and for surrogates too, really, that after the delivery, where does that leave everybody? So I started doing concierge level post-delivery care for parents at that time. And then eventually one of those parents that I was helping post-delivery said, do you think you can find a surrogate for my friend? And I did. And then it's just started from there. So at that point, then I started my agency. I'm a Nevada-based agency, but I work with surrogates all over the US, depending on their state, of course. But yeah, so it kind of lit that fire. And now all these years later, what I see is the surrogates that go through this journey have that kind of same experience. They want to stay connected. They want to stay involved. a lot of our surrogates are like, how do I work for your agency? Like, I'm sure you get this too. How do I get my foot in the door?
Mhm.
Right. And I think once you're a surrogate, that's what I'm seeing happening is it changes something fundamentally within these women that connects them to this process, maybe for the rest of their life. And that's kind of what this little bit of window I had with this other agency startup sort of did for me. It kind of got seeped into my blood and brought up memories and feelings of what that was like to want to have another child and have people say, you have one already. What's the big deal? Why are you going through all of this? You should be grateful for the child you have. And then getting some fertility care, but not much. My husband was active duty military and just no support there. And then getting out of the military, no support from my provider. And that's really a difficult place to be in, to have that big desire in your heart and be treated like you're less than, and that it's really not a big deal and you should kind of get over it. And so for me, that's my walk and my experience. And I never compare myself to actual intended parents who have to have a surrogate. But what it did for me was to make me appreciate these women willing to do that. And I know fundamentally that it's not the same. And I didn't need a surrogate, but I could have. And that was at a time where surrogacy was relatively new. It was sort of science fiction and it was way out of range as it is now for many, many people. So I don't know that that would have ever been an option that I would be allowed to do or to be able to achieve having the rest of my children that I eventually had. But I think surrogates that are willing to do this are incredible people. And I'm so, so grateful that they're willing because I could have needed that. And it would have been out of reach for me in many, many ways. And because of women like both of you, actually, that are willing to do that, it opens up opportunities for family building that I wouldn't have had. And so I love being a part of that. So yeah, I mean, 11 and a half years in of my own agency ownership and a year and a half being part owner of a different agency before that. And I am in shock regularly at the job that I have. And you must both be as well. Like, how is this our work? Right.
It's kind of our work, but we don't get right.
Yeah.
And we don't get paid for it. This is the work of heart, right?
But it's a service. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not your job,
yeah.
but it is hard work. And that's
It
appreciated by the rest of us, the level of that you try to do for families.
That's really cool that you have that perspective. It really is.
Yeah. Because you also have this perspective, a partial perspective of intended parents where you understand that desire, whereas a lot of surrogates, like, we can empathize with it, right? But we never firsthand experienced most of the time. We never firsthand.
We actually do have a surrogate who's had her own infertility journey in some way, especially male factor, right? Male fertility is a much bigger issue now than it's ever been before, as far as what we know of, right?
Right.
And so, we have actually had surrogates who have been IVF patients themselves and then have their families and complete their families through their own IVF and then realize I've overcome this and now I can help another family that's going through what they did. So yeah, male factor infertility and some other things that don't disqualify someone from becoming a surrogate because maybe it's an ovary issue or whatever that may be. But still they have a healthy uterine health.
Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool. I don't know why I thought that if I needed to do IVF for me, then I just thought I wouldn't qualify to be a surrogate, but it really is no different because I'd be doing IVF as a
were
surrogate.
your own surrogate. Yeah. So we have surrogates who actually, created embryos outside the womb and then carried their own. They were their
My
own.
tubes were tied and I went on to do surrogacy.
Yeah. So, the whole ovary portion of that, like we're going to silence those anyway. Like, so it doesn't really matter if your tubes are tied or if you have egg quality issues or whatever. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a question?
Yeah,
I
but
do.
go.
Oh, okay. Okay. I want to back it just for a minute. So you had so because I'm still fascinated by the 21 countries. I think that's
Mhm.
wild and awesome. Um, so you said that you do a lot in Europe, which doesn't shock me at all. But are you also working with surrogates in these other countries, or is it just
No,
okay?
no, I haven't worked with any surrogates to date anyway. I
Yeah.
haven't any surrogates out of the country. I haven't done cross-border where you're moving women back and forth across borders. I feel a certain kind of way about that. I don't know what the
Yeah.
Yeah.
future will hold.
Yeah.
We really watch how things are unfolding in the US. But I have not.
Okay.
All of our surrogates so far have been in the United States.
Okay.
And it's, the system that you're used to seeing. Parents come to a clinic here, they create embryos, they go home, surrogate has transferred, they come.
Right.
Sometimes we love it when they come for the anatomy scan around
Yeah.
20 weeks, like that.
Sure.
But the reality is that not all international and actually domestic parents too aren't always able to travel. They're saving money and days off so that they have those
Right.
resources available to them when it's time for delivery. So then we expect them to come 2 weeks before the due date. They're typically here 3 weeks after, getting documents in order and things like that. If they're domestic, the timeline's a little bit shorter. If
Right.
they get their direct flight and things like that. But yeah,
Cool.
for the international families, their surrogates are all here. I have been looking at Mexico as an option, not moving surrogates
Right.
across the border, but surrogates in Mexico, doing a full program with a vetted clinic in Mexico. And so we are looking at that. And more agencies are looking into options outside of the US. Again, I really hope no one's moving surrogates across borders.
Right.
Right. That's tricky.
But full programs in those countries that are set up in a way that we've kind of copied every ethical option that we have available. It's not always going to translate culturally, right?
Right.
To those other countries. And it takes a long time to find providers and have US based clinics, vet those clinics there and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm sure you're watching it happen. It's
Yeah.
all over, social media and the blogs and the Facebook groups and all of these things
Yeah.
because of some of the issues we're having here.
Yeah.
It really was just a financial matter why parents were going outside of the US to do their journeys because of rising costs for the whole entire program here in the US. But it was still, and still is really, but it was clear that it was still a better option because you had some safeguards, right, as far as the process for returning home with your children and things like that. And as right now, we're in the middle of sort of watching that deteriorate. We don't know what the future holds. It's changing right now every day.
Yeah.
The sort of drive like, okay, well, it's financially more expensive, but you have this benefit of clear laws in place that protect the surrogate and the parent. And then there's a clear path for a birth certificate and a passport to get your child home. And as we're watching those issues that are going on in real time now, we're losing some of that shininess of the US based programs. So these other programs are starting to develop at a quicker rate. Not to say that they're good or bad, but those things are happening. And so really for surrogates, please don't leave the country and go to some other country to do
Oh
it
gosh.
there. Right. And that shouldn't be happening. But families are looking at all their options now.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
and that
That's very I
Yeah.
don't want to say it's sad to hear, but in a way it's sad because I mean, it's great, right, that there are other options and that it's becoming more
It is.
feasible and it's safe in some other parts of the countries, but it's
a
just
little bit,
sad to hear that the US isn't oh yeah, like surrogacy friendly. Like
it's the best.
Right.
yeah, right.
Because it
Especially
used to be,
California. We used to be the,
ah,
Yeah,
should
the
have.
gold standard, and
yeah,
Yep.
everybody was, then we started looking at liens. So insurance
I
liens
know.
started to sort of kill California.
Gee.
And then on top of that, the rising cost of surrogates in California. And then surrogates throughout the US have a good argument. Like, well, why is a surrogate in California
Mhm.
sort of worth a higher compensation than I am in like Oregon or Wisconsin or somewhere? And
Mhm.
that's a valid point.
For
But
sure.
there are some significant differences, and a lot of that is just in what the IPs are wanting and looking for, and also in the statutes that are in place in California that
Yeah.
aren't in place in other states. So it's an interesting time in our field right now as we watch all of these changes happening and what will stick and what won't.
Yeah.
But when you're working international family building, you have to sort of keep your finger on the pulse of that all the time. So this is nothing new. We've been worrying about it and watching it for several years, actually, since our last round with the same administration, right? And so it's nothing that's sort of shocking. It's just coming sort of to fruition now. And so
Right.
the address, it's not a theory anymore. It's actually an
It's
issue.
happening.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's interesting to think about international families and what that means for them.
Right.
All of that
Right.
security is hanging in the balance right now.
Yeah.
And they need answers. They have great questions, and we don't actually have any concrete answers right now because it is changing
Right.
so rapidly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But so, it's what the heart wants.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
fully believe that families will press forward and
Yeah.
find a way to have their children, create their children,
Right.
because of that desire of the heart is so strong. And what I say to parents and surrogates when they ask me, like, how do we know if the parent's going to be able to come and take their baby and things like that, is these are the questions that were often asked, 40, 45 years ago, right? There was a first. There was a family that went first. There was a gay family that went first. There was an international family that went first in the United States, right? And those trusted professionals that we work with are the attorneys that we all rely on, the agencies who have 40, 45 years of experience. We all rely on each other to navigate that pathway through that obstacle. We did it in 2020 for COVID. When the travel ban happened in COVID, we were getting families home even without a birth certificate, right? With a certificate of birth from the hospital and their court order and things like that, we were being able to move children back home with their families. And it took some time and all of us working as a team in the community to figure out how to do that. And I don't think that this will be any different no matter the outcome. The human heart wants what it wants. And those of us who feel impassioned about bodily autonomy, which is a big issue now, about citizenship rights and all of that, will navigate it the best we can and find a safe path forward like they have for 45 years. So, we'll see what shakes out. But 21 countries, all with their different reasons why the parents aren't forward in their own country.
And so with all of that, those different things that we're having to navigate and agencies are having to kind of pivot, and maybe that goes without saying, but that increases the cost, correct? Because there's so much more having to happen and maybe more people involved. Is that fair
I
to
think
say?
we're yet to see that.
Okay.
What that's going to look like. I know in COVID 2020 time period, attorneys were sort of offering their extra services. Oh, you need this extra document, you need FedExing these things. And as an agency, we partnered up with the attorneys that we had, which is why having experienced attorneys, especially with international family building, is so important. Because they all rallied, like everybody kind of really rallied and looked outward to our governmental resources. And I mean, no stone was unturned. Like anybody got a friend in this department, and everybody worked to do that, during that time. So there wasn't a lot of added cost. Costs were added when we started looking at, we need a power of attorney because the parents can't be at the hospital. They can't get a flight, things like that. So there were some costs. But for the most part, the agencies that are colleagues of mine that I know and trust, other agency owner friends that I have, and the attorneys that we all work with, sort of banded together and provided those services without racking up a bunch of additional costs. I don't know what this new path is going to look like. We may see, a drastic increase now in costs on the administrative side, more things that have to happen in order to get families moving around and home where they belong. But I hope that we all rally, at least in the beginning, while we're sorting things out, and we don't pass huge financial burdens on to families that are already, stretched to the
for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we're all looking at that. Everyone's talking about it. That's why we love, all the seeds, brown bags, and webinars, and all the attorneys are jumping in and doing webinars and trying to help us all navigate it. So it feels very communal, like we're all sort of in this hot mess together.
Yeah.
Right. Which is good.
Yeah.
It's good because that means together we can hopefully all change, or not change, but hopefully change things that are happening. Let's
Yeah.
hope for that.
And keep
How,
families
I'm curious,
growing.
how 21 country, I'm still stuck on it. I'm sorry, I'm so fascinated. I think that's amazing. It's like awesome
Yeah.
how these different countries find out about you.
Right.
On the IP side, I think you guys probably know, surrogates are the resource here, the women that we need, and every single agency, I'd be surprised if an agency ever said, like, we're just drowning in incredible qualified surrogates, right?
Right.
Right.
And so, the women that are willing to help a family in this way, um, those those are the component of the journey that really is the hardest to find. We're very strict at my agency. I work with fantastic clinics that also have this incredibly strict guidelines. So it's really that focus on finding quality surrogate candidates. Intended parents, I've never actually really marketed to parents. It's a lot of word of mouth,
Okay.
thankfully, and I think that that's helpful. I travel to international conferences, so whether it's men having babies or wish for a baby or some smaller sort of groups that we make on our own with attorneys and clinics and travel around a little bit. That's pretty much how I'm getting intended parents from all over. Um, our little one-offs that we have that has sort of made this group of 21,
Yeah.
those are word of mouth. They have a friend who's gone through my agency and has this beautiful baby, and they're like, yeah, we want that. And so that's somehow those parents come to us. So I don't market in 21 places, and I don't run ads actually for intended parents.
Wow.
It's word
That,
of
whew,
and travel. And
that says
not a
that
bad
says something
thing.
about you and your agency right
Yeah,
there. It
huge
really
testament.
does.
And
Yes.
there's a huge benefit to getting in front of intended parents in person. And so again, I haven't been to 21 countries, but I do travel when I can. I have my daughter that works for me is my caboose, so empty nest, which gives me the ability to do some travel and get in front of families. And I think, like with anyone, when you meet them in person, there's a level of conversation and connection that you can make that's not always possible over Zoom. And
Trust.
so for me, I'll go to these conferences, I'll meet families there and start helping families in those communities. And then they share their stories
Yeah,
and end up with referrals.
it's great.
So do you have a wait list?
Well, I like to call it my match list. So my
Okay.
program director, Kim Hennessy, she's like, they're not really waiting, right?
Okay.
They're matching. We're just
Yes.
needing to find the right person for them.
Ah,
And
okay.
so we're actually at about 3 months, depending on the list. So we have, right, which is why she's like, I'm not calling it a waiting list. It's a matching list. Like they
Yeah.
have coming. And so
Yeah.
we match between 8 and 10 surrogates every month. And so the match is pretty quick. Yeah, we did, I think last year we did 88 matches, and then this year we're a little bit above that. But so I think we're medium size. I mean, I know people who are making that many like a month or whatever that I make in a year, right? So we do okay, but our wait time's about 3 months. And if you're an intended parent and you come and you say, you know, we follow ASRM guidelines. I'm actually pretty strict about that.
Yeah.
Even though we're not required to, ASRM doesn't really work with agencies. They don't give us any kind of platform or care, but we follow what their guidelines are that they present to clinics and MHPs and stuff, mental health professionals. So if you follow ASRM guidelines as an agency and you follow SEEDS, so the ethical organization, I'm sure you know,
Right.
I'm on the membership. I'm a membership co-chair for that. And so I take SEEDS guidelines very seriously, standards and guidelines. And then you work with great clinics that have their own list of guidelines. So kind of once you start, following all of those guidelines, you're gonna get some traction.
Yeah.
Because you're careful in the work that you do. I don't know if that answers your question, but
And you're ethical and you're
Yeah.
you're following the rules per se, if you just want to put air quotes out there. Yeah. But
Right.
and that to an intended parent is huge.
yeah.
Huge. We've all known the age, the money's in there and boom, they're gone. And it's scary. And that's their whole life. They're waiting for a child and this is their whole life. So yeah, to trust somebody is huge in this business. Huge.
Did that answer your question? Sorry.
Yes, no, it did. It answered it beautifully. And then Okay, so that's not long at all. 3 months
No.
to potentially find a match, or oh, you don't find a match. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
dreams.
3 months. So, so yeah, so I guess if parents come in and say, I know that you follow these guidelines. I'm going to trust you to find an appropriate match for me. Maybe here's a few things that are important. What kind of communication I'm hoping for with my surrogate. Um, those few simple things that are important to them. As
Yeah.
long as they're meeting, we have 4 criteria: their physical health, their emotional, mental health, their social health, and their financial health.
Okay.
And then we do what most agencies, I think, are doing, or at least should be doing, is, gathering a full set of medical records directly from the providers, not from the GC herself.
Okay.
Criminal and financial background check. If we're doing all of those things, we have a great candidate. She's not even in our program and she doesn't meet everything. So by the time a parent's going to be ready to match, they're going to have quality candidates available. The timeline difference is going to be if they start adding on a lot of lifestyle preferences, location, all of these things that aren't relevant to a safe and successful journey, but maybe important to them personally. So we do take those things serious, but then we're very transparent to say, our matching times are about 3 months. And if you only want these very, very specific things, like a surrogate in 2 states, like only this state and that state, like, okay. Right. So then we can, we know enough and have been doing this long enough that we can adjust that and then be really transparent with them and what they can expect. If they come in and they're cool and they just say, we want these basic fundamentals and we trust your judgment, we'll find them a surrogate that does match some of their hobbies and interests and things, because it's always great to start with a little seed of something they have in common. So we'll do that. And sometimes they match really fast within even a few weeks.
Who gets to see whose profile first? Or do you have a coordinator who's matching up a surrogate and an intended parent or parents and just saying, okay, we're going to try these 2 together? Or does a surrogate get to look?
Easy. So myself and Kim, my program director, we do kind of that preliminary matching, the sharing of profiles in the beginning. It really is customized for every single case. If we have a surrogate who we know is really particular and good for her, we don't have a problem with that, but maybe she saw a profile before and didn't resonate and she didn't like them. And then we sent her someone else so we go, okay, she's really specific in what she wants, but she's not really able to articulate exactly what it is she needs and is looking for. So we know that the potential is there for us to send her a profile, and for her not to be interested, then we're going to send it to her first. And if she's interested, then we'll send it to the parent. And we do it the other way as well. If we have a parent who every time we send them a surrogate's profile and we're jazzed and it all matches up and it's going to be amazing, and they're like, no, which doesn't actually, neither of those things happen a lot, but they can happen. Then we're going to make sure that that they're going to see that profile first. Otherwise, we're sending it to the surrogate first, having this parent in mind, knowing that they're not really able to share with us exactly what they're looking for. And that's heartbreaking for everybody. So we're really careful. And it's literally case by case. If a surrogate, we ask them, we're really good at our match points. So we ask them, are you okay if we're going to share your profile with the parent first? If we know that that parent's looking for a feeling of something particular, that way, and we explain it, that way we're not wasting your time. You're not going to open an email that the subject says, oh, IP profile or whatever, and then you're excited and you're immediately invested. And then you look at their profile and you say yes, and then we send your information to them, who they have a history of being particular, right? And so we find transparency is just the best. And if we're going to do something, I'm in a lot of those groups online. I'm invited to be there. I don't promote my agency. I simply try to help answer questions, but I see some of those concerns and I think about them all the time. Surrogates telling each other, you should see the profile first and you should demand to do these things. And I'm like, how about trust your agency that they're trying to watch out for your heart and mind too. And if you trust us enough that you're signing up with us to be your agency, then know that we have your best interest in mind and heart. And so transparency is everything. And if a surrogate says, I read online that I get to see the profiles first, and this is really important to me, I say, okay, talk to me about why that's important to you.
Mm.
And I'll share with you kind of our process, and we'll do what's important to you. But I want you to know why why is it important to you? You should know why, not just that you read it on the internet, right?
Right.
And so then they're happy to share why they feel that that's most important to them. Then I can explain our process to them. And maybe I'll say something like, I have these intended parents and they really are specific in what they're looking for. Do you want to see their profile first? Or would you like me to send your profile to them first, just to make sure? And it saves a lot of heartache, and we don't have broken matches. And, this has to be customizable.
Okay, so Donna, I'm gonna be real honest with you. We are the people that are saying, girls, look at it first. And I'll say this. The reason we say that is we've talked to other surrogates who have had, I hate to call them horror stories, but like not the greatest of experiences with certain agencies, right?
Right.
And I've had several cases where I've told an agency, this is what I'm looking for. And they're like, oh, okay. And send me somebody completely different. And they're like, they love you. And I'm like, cool, that's not what I said I was looking for.
Right.
So, it's from my point of view, it's coming from, but I love what you said. And like sitting down and talking to you or someone like you with an agency, I'm open to hearing you and being like, hey, this is how we do it. And I'm actually willing to be like, yeah, okay, you seem trustworthy. Like, I'm gonna do this with you. But in my personal experience in the past, it's been, we're gonna throw the complete opposite at you, because that's who's been on our waiting list the longest. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's not great.
And Kim does a lot of those sort of pairing up. And I was just gone for a month, right? So I would see her emailing with some people, and then I would send her a message and say, I'm pretty sure like she only wanted like a LGBT couple or a heterosexual married couple, or that it was important to her that those parents don't already have children. Different match points like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, I feel like I remember talking to her about that. And then Kim sometimes, it's rare, but then Kim might say back something to me like, well, that's true, but since you've been out of town, she called me and said she actually talked to her husband about it and changed her match criteria.
Preferences.
Got
it.
Right. And so I'm like, okay. So no, we both kind of call each other out on that. Like, I think that this surrogate wanted this or that. And we do that with our intended parents as well. Okay, don't send the intended parents a surrogate who has a specific criteria that they don't meet, and vice versa. So I really don't like broken matches. And I think you can stop all of that with transparency from the beginning. So if you're my surrogate and you're saying, I really want to see the profile first, I'll say, okay, that's totally fine to do that. Can you share with me why that's really important to you so I can make sure I get it right for you the first time?
Right.
And then you share your reasons with me. And then I'll say, okay. And I might say to you, I have this intended parent that every time I talk with them, you pop in my head every time. And they meet what you're asking for, but they're very particular. And the last 2 profiles I sent to them, they passed on. So for you and for your needs, how can I help you with that? Because if I send you the profile, you're going to love these guys, and they may not love you back because they don't know you like I do.
Right.
They're just looking at a piece of paper.
Right.
So they're thinking about their budget. They're looking at your birth weights. They're doing that. They're not connected to you.
Right.
And you can tell me, do you want to risk that? Do you still want to see their profile first?
Right.
Or would you like me to go ahead and just send it to them? And then if they're interested, we can share it with you, and then you can invest emotionally.
And I would let you send it to them because I don't want to fall in love and then be heartbroken.
Yep, I would too.
Right.
So that's the conversations that we have. And again, everything is very specific. I had a surrogate that just matched, and she has had her benefits package for a very long time, and kind of went over it and told us more than once, like, everything looks good. And then I just had the best call with her, and we went through it again because she's pending a match. And she said, she's been on those groups, and she wanted to go through some things with me, and she had some changes she wanted to suggest. And I would say, 7 or 8 of her 10 suggestions we changed, and they're totally fine. And a couple of them, there's a reason why my benefit is that. And I explained to her the reason why, very detailed, and, really smooth communication with this GC. And then she was like, I can accept that. I understand that. It makes sense to me. And I'm fine. Let's leave it as it is.
There you go.
I think you should teach a class
Yeah,
on this to
because
others.
I don't think that's happening everywhere. And I'm not, it's not
Yeah.
happening everywhere.
That's
It's not.
unfortunate because
Yeah,
all of these people are adult human beings with minds of
Right.
their own and generally reasonable people. And I
Yeah.
think if you're just having those conversations and inviting ideas and opinions and
Mhm.
a conversation about it with respect, then you're going to come to the conclusion
Mhm.
whatever's going to work for everyone. And it's also a good opportunity to say this isn't a good fit. This isn't a good fit for this intended parent or you.
Right.
And maybe not a good fit for my agency because I stand behind the things I have in my benefits package. I
Yeah.
stand behind our processes and they're there for a reason from my experience.
Mhm.
And I'm not willing to change that.
Right.
And so maybe we're not a good fit for each other, but I have some amazing colleagues and I would be really happy to get you in front of one of them who I know is ethical and trustworthy and might be a better fit for you. And I've said that to surrogates and I've said,
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the community that
Mhm.
we
Right. We know.
try to associate ourselves
Mhm.
with, because you're in the industry, so you know that not everyone is like this. And
No.
so it's always very nice and refreshing. And now I'm going to call out Grace and say thanks, Grace, because now I understand everything that you've ever said about your
Right.
agency, because she gives glowing reviews about you in her journey stories and every single time. So it makes a lot of sense. And knowing Grace and now
Right.
knowing you, I completely understand that
It's a
connection.
big deal. It's a big deal. And, you
Yeah.
know, it was a big deal to Grace. One of the things I love about the very beginning of her story is that she reached out to us and her BMI was quite high. And we have this thing we call like our BMI club, and we send like a cool water bottle and like some inspirational stickers. It's inexpensive, it's no big deal. But, you know, weight is a struggle in my life and in so many people's lives. And I say, if you really want to do this, you can make a goal and achieve that for yourself. And we'll stick around. In the meantime, get educated. Ask us anything you want to ask while you're on your weight loss journey. We're a support and a network for you to get your questions asked. And she did that. She crushed it. And sometimes we never hear from those women again. And sometimes, like in Grace's situation, she put in the hard work and called us and said, okay, I'm there. I'm ready to go. And she did that, had to kind of do that in between her journeys too, like regain her like amazing, strong body.
Yeah.
And so every single woman that we talk to and parent that we talk to, we treat as individual people on a journey of their own that has ideas and interesting things to say and needs of their own. And if you just pay attention to that, then I think you can be a good agency.
I think that's
It's
like a selling point for me.
Right. But I
Is to be
believe it.
treated like a human being.
Yes, and
That's
respected. And I
huge.
100% believe it coming out of from you. I do. There's some people we've talked to that I think they're just selling it. And I believe it 100% because I did this 25 years ago. You got the person who was on the list next. That's who you got. And I'm going to tell you right now, 2 out of 3 times it was horrible.
So sorry.
I finally said, listen, I need to see profiles. And they were like, what? And so I picked. And that journey was phenomenal because we had things in common. And I had nothing in common with the other ones, but didn't want to speak up. And we talk about this a lot on this podcast because we just wanted to be a surrogate so deeply. It was just ingrained in us that we didn't want to cause waves. We didn't want to. But now I'm glad surrogates are finding their voice. And with the help of agencies that are ethical, such as yourself, they can feel more comfortable finding their voice.
Yeah.
And you, like the BMI thing, that whole thing, like you don't just go hard no. You send them a water bottle and some encouraging stickers and you tell them go on your journey, come back at us when you're ready. And people do. Like that was unheard of 25 years ago. Nobody would have done that. It would have been a hard no.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it does anyone. It's, I guess it's good. I have a good heart and my whole team is incredible and we care about that, but it's also good business.
Yeah.
From a business perspective, every agency should care about that.
Yeah.
It
100%.
prevents match breaks. It prevents hurt feelings. We have a huge percentage of women who return for second and third journeys with my agency. They refer their friends, their sisters, all of that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And that's not happening if you're not listening to
That's right.
what they're trying to tell you, feedback throughout the whole journey. So
Correct.
we give them plenty of opportunity to say, I don't like these parents, right? So
Right.
profile review, it's a profile review. It's a match meeting. It's waiting for, so we wait until the clinic gives approval before we actually say you're officially matched and get payment from the parent.
Okay.
Right. So there's a lot of steps along the way. So first they're looking at a profile. They can say, no, thank you. Or they can have questions answered. Okay, well, their profile didn't share as much as I wanted to know. I need to know more things, right? So there's an opportunity there. Then they're going to meet that family. Then they're going to wait until their records are approved. We used to do it the other way, get records approval and then have them meet. But I think, as you guys know, records approval or validation from a clinic is taking 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So we don't want them to all wait. And then in 4 to 6 weeks of waiting, meet each other and discover it's not a good fit. So we're having them if they want to, we ask them both. And if they understand that it's only really pending the clinical approval of the records, then they can go ahead and we'll introduce them.
Okay.
So that it kind of saves that time of everybody anxiously waiting and excited, and then something happens. So they can say no then. Then the records come back approved. Okay, your records were approved by the clinic today. How are you feeling about this match? Any more questions? Any hesitation? Like, still excited? Like, are we going to do this? And so there's a lot of opportunity to have her share her thoughts and feelings or make any suggested changes in what she's hoping for from the journey. And so at that point, then, like, we ask them to trust us. We have to trust them that they have had plenty of opportunity, because once that match is official, and I hope that this is your message to surrogates as well, once you've gone through all of that and your match is officially made and the parents start to spend significant financial resources on your screening, travel, and all of those things, legal contracts and everything else, that you're committed to the process and that you don't grandiose changes.
Right.
Yeah, because it's not,
It's not cool.
No,
Right.
it's not cool. It's not
But
okay.
that's why it's good for business, because if you didn't do the homework ahead of time,
Right.
then you're going to be in legal contracts and it's going to fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yep.
And nobody wins. Nobody has a good experience.
No.
Mhm.
Anyway, I'll
Goodness.
get off my soapbox. Yeah.
No, okay, so kind of going along with that, right? So then you're at legal contracts. So I'm curious, when is compensation talked about with you? Does a surrogate come in and they're like, "Hi, I am interested in this," or are you guys set at certain standards?
For first, second, third, and depending on state. Yeah.
Both of those answers are correct. So
Okay.
we have a fixed benefits package for a first-time surrogate, but they are told from the very moment they are sent the benefits package, please look this over and let's have a conversation about how you feel about everything in this benefits package, right? And so those conversations start at the time of them even applying with our agency. So they have that benefits package and the ability to start discussions about it with us from the time they are just initially applying. So we haven't even gathered all their medical records yet, and they've got that. So those conversations start then. Again, my benefits package has been dragged through the mud and worked over by everybody and their brother. So I feel pretty confident in my package, but we ask them multiple times throughout the whole initial stages of the journey if they have any questions, if they want to go through it item by item. Some of them do, and some of them are like, no, I've seen 1,000 of these already. I know what I'm talking about. I'm in the groups, like all this stuff. And they already come to the table with changes. We're very clear to say, if you feel strongly about anything here, let's have a conversation, because there might be an option to make an adjustment prior to finalizing your match. So that sentence is said multiple times, and surrogates do change it. They might bump their comp up a little bit. One of the things we're really careful about that I actually bring up to them every time is childcare. Please look around in your local area to make sure that the childcare stipend or allowance for childcare is enough in your area for your hourly childcare, so that we can calculate it over the course of a week, a month, and you have the right amount in your benefits package. And sometimes they have one child and they have, great resources all around them, and like, that's fine. That'll cover me for sure. And sometimes they say, I have 4 kids. And it's one thing if you need childcare because you're going to go to a doctor's appointment. It's another thing if you're on bed rest and you can't pick up your 2-year-old,
Right.
or cook a meal and those kinds of things. And so They always have that opportunity. And most of them, we have those discussions with them and make the changes that they ask for. But we do have a benefit, we send a benefits package with those sort of fixed numbers, and then we go from there and then make adjustments from there. We don't send a blank one, like fill in the blanks.
Ah.
Oh God, no, that would be bad.
That would be horrible.
That would not be great.
Yeah, I mean, the parents that I work with are just normal people. They mortgage their home.
Yeah.
That's usually how it is.
Yeah.
I've had parents sell their home and move into a little apartment. I've had parents, they cash out their retirement. Their parents have cashed out their parents' retirement to help them. I mean, they are really stretching here to do this. And I don't have parents who could just say, whatever she wants, it'd be great. They feel that in their heart. They would love to do that. But that's not the reality I don't have like Kardashians or whoever.
Yeah.
Right? I have people who really feel everything that's being spent on this journey, and they're happy for her to be compensated. They're happy to cover everything and make sure she's covered for everything. Mm-hmm. But they really need some sort of a ballpark going into this so that they
Absolutely.
And it's better for the surrogate if she's transparent, so the parents know, can I match with her or not? What is the reality? Oh, she's incredible and beautiful. We love everything about her. We'll have a surrogate who has an extremely high hourly wage, right? Mm-hmm. Really high hourly wage. Everything about her is like an intended parent's dream in every way. She's a beautiful, kind person, and she deserves all her lost wages. Mm-hmm. But it's almost insurmountable for intended parents to have that be unlimited, which we don't cap lost wages. So, that's a match point that she's going to have a family who has that really flexible budget, to be able to do that. So the benefits package is important. Surrogate can make whatever changes that they would like to make of all the things they saw online and all the other things their girlfriends told them about what they deserve and everything else. I don't deny it. You deserve the moon. You don't ever get paid what you're worth. You're worth millions of dollars. And that's a true thing. It's true.
Yeah.
From someone who wanted kids and was having trouble having them, there really isn't an amount, right? That would be enough.
But it shouldn't be taken advantage of.
Right.
Well, and that's why there has to be an altruistic component.
Absolutely.
Right. So
I love how you just said that, because I absolutely hate the fact that we are either compensated surrogates or altruistic surrogates. No, I can be both. And I am both.
Yeah. And that's what I tell intended parents. I say compensation is fantastic. You can never pay a surrogate enough for what she's going to do for you. But you have to have a budget, and this is a realistic thing. Mm-hmm. Every surrogate deserves to be compensated, but the surrogates that I like for my agency have both parts. They have the altruistic side as well. Mm-hmm. And so how I explain that to either a parent or a surrogate when they ask me further about that, I say, one day the surrogate's going to be doing her millionth injection, and she's covered in bruises and knots because she didn't massage, right? Like those kinds of things. Yeah. And she's looking at this needle and she's saying, I cannot do this one more day. But you know what? I'm getting well paid, so I'm going to do it because that's what I'm paid to do. And she's going to do the injection. And then the next day, she's going to draw the needle and she's going to look at it again. And she's still covered in bruises. And she's going to say, I cannot do it today. I cannot do it. And then the thing she thought yesterday, like, well, hey, you're getting paid. She's going to say, who cares? There's not enough money in the world for me to stick myself again. And then she's going to think, but those parents are so cool and I love them. Right. And I love what I'm helping them do. And for that reason, I'm going to do this injection again today, right? So one day it might be motivated by her compensation, and the very next day it might be motivated for her heartstrings and realizing this greater thing that she's doing. So I don't care what the motivations are. She's going to take her medication. Yeah. And that's the bottom line is what are the surrogate's motivations? I love a surrogate who is motivated by both of those things, and they can live in the same space, right?
Yeah. You're here.
Yeah.
Love
it. Beautifully said and very true.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't, they don't have to be like independent of each other. You can use the compensation, you can appreciate the compensation and do something really cool with it for your family. Right. And also be very kind and nice and be doing this really great thing. So some people have a conflict when surrogates are like, I just want to give this gift. Well, you're being compensated. Is it a gift? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
A gift of my heart. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's both of those things.
It is. 100%. Wow.
I'm looking at my questions here because
I
we've
know.
kind
Trying
of
to go
went
over them in my
over
head. Yeah.
all of
You hit
them.
them all.
Sorry. Yeah.
Because I don't know if we put this on recording or not. How many babies in the 11 and a half years have been produced from your agency?
We ended, the last official count is we ended 2024 at 380. And we've been having, we matched 88 last year. And so they're all in the process of pregnancy
Yeah.
now.
Super cool.
So I think if I counted them up, we'd probably land somewhere around 415, 420 maybe already by now. And then by the end of the year, I guess we'll see. So I don't, we
Incredible.
always celebrate every pregnancy and every
Aw.
baby as a team. But I don't like really take a tally. I do
Yeah.
at least once a year, but I
Yeah.
don't, kind of do that on a regular basis.
Pregnancy takes over 9 months, especially when you're doing
Yeah.
infertility treatments and stuff. So that's an incredible success.
So it's fun. And when the babies are born, not all families like to share openly on social media. So my social media doesn't have a lot of that. I'm really protective of everyone's privacy.
Sure.
But in our own team, like in our team CRM
Yeah.
chat, it's baby photos all day long.
Oh,
Right
so
now,
cool.
it's really cool because it's like several a month. And
Aw,
so we're having a good time over here.
that's cool.
So, yeah.
That's
really
very
cool.
fun.
And to see
And
that
I-
you support both sides
Yeah.
incredibly well. Incredibly well. Yeah.
No, you do. And I'm
I can
I'm
just
like,
feel
where
it.
were
Yeah.
you my last journey?
Right. Right.
I know that there's other agencies like
Yes.
mine. I know that
There are.
There
But
are.
it feels, I mean, the more that we do this podcast and the more we talk to people, we're very thankful that, agencies like yours aren't really, thank goodness they're becoming less of a unicorn, if that makes sense. Like they're
More than
there.
normal.
It's
They're more
just
than normal.
like,
Yeah.
you gotta find them.
The focus is always on the media attention of all these bad things happening.
Yes.
So, that's part of the problem is you can have 100 agencies doing really good work, and then the one agency that steals all your money and treats you terribly or refuses to give you what they promise in their agreement with you, like all of those kinds of things. Those are the journeys that can ruin it for everybody. So that's why it's a big responsibility for an agency. I feel the same way about clinics and attorneys and everyone else that is in our community. It's a huge, huge responsibility to not screw it up for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that
And
one
it's
person.
the same thing in these other countries too.
Yes.
As we are moving into other countries to look at options there for family building,
Yeah.
please go slow. Please be careful because
One
a
thing.
mistake can cost
A lot.
This is the sad part for me as someone who's had the infertility. And so I can imagine what it's like for families who really need a surrogate.
Right.
Is those people are out there and the numbers are increasing of families who need help. And one slip up, one mistake that you don't give your all to fix. Mistakes happen even at my agency, but I throw myself on the sword and fix it immediately. Right. And if we're not doing that, then that is going to take it down for everybody.
Yes.
Stop this being a viable option for families.
Correct.
So it's a huge responsibility. And I think there's a lot of us who take it really seriously. And then there's some that don't.
Yeah. But I think there's more who do than those who
that too.
don't.
Yeah.
At least that's what I want to hope.
100%. And it has changed a lot in the 2.5 decades that I was around for doing it, a lot. And I always say it. I'm so grateful and so happy to see all of those positive changes. Seeds wasn't around, ASRM, all those wasn't around. Like,
yeah.
Nope.
And I still refer to surrogacy as the wild, wild west, right? Except for what New York, basically, there's no real regulation that requires any type of real vetting. We vet everybody for Seeds membership, but Seeds is only as good as the people who know about it. I'm in the group sometimes trying to explain what Seeds is, and someone's like, isn't that escrow company that stole everyone's money? I'm like, no,
that's not them.
Different acronym, right? Like all this stuff, right?
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
So not enough people really know what Seeds is. And then doing international surrogacy, I'm the one that's educating the parents internationally about Seeds. So if I'm not a Seeds member, I'm not doing that. And nobody would know the difference.
Wow.
Because they don't know what that organization really is. It's becoming, it's it's filtering out there a little bit.
Yeah.
So we're working hard to make sure that that's more well known. But some agencies choose not to be a member of Seeds for some of them have good reasons why they're not participating. It doesn't mean they're not ethical, but they're just choosing not to participate. And so it's not really clear, but that's all we got. So we're clinging to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry you didn't have that when you were a surrogate, and I'm glad things have changed for your daughter a little bit better.
Yeah.
Maybe for her daughter a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Wouldn't that be fun? We could get a
Wow.
trilogy going on here.
Wow.
Trilogy. But then that's your responsibility as a former surrogate. I think you've done it multiple times, right? So as a former surrogate, your responsibility then is to educate those people in your own personal life about what is and isn't okay in third-party family building. And maybe one of your kids my daughter works for me and you guys work together. And I think that does happen throughout our field. And it's catching the path for this.
I think this next generation I think the millennial generation is more understanding. And then I think Gen Z, I think is after them, is like even more just like, hey, yeah, live your life. Like, whatever. Then I'm like, finally.
Yeah. My older kids are millennial. My daughter's Gen Z, and she just thinks this is the coolest job she could have on the planet. She loves it. Doesn't envision doing anything else. And she is so open. We help a lot of LGBTQ families, and she just, human beings are human beings in that generation, and everyone's deserving of care and love. And you live your life with authenticity, and everyone else should mind their own business. It's very much that generation, and those are the people who come after us.
Yep.
As long as our work can continue.
Yeah.
It will.
Agencies like yours. Heck yes. Heck yes.
Oh my gosh. So Dawn, if people if surrogates or intended parents want to work with your agency, where do they contact you? Where do they go?
Oh gosh. So our website is us-surrogacy.com. You can find us online, but it's an interesting issue. You would need to put US Surrogacy LLC at the end. Otherwise, you're just going to get a million articles on surrogacy in the United States. So it's US is United States. Yeah, it's not us. It's never about us, right? So it's not us.
I didn't even think of that. I knew it was United. That's funny. I thought, of course, it's United States. Okay.
Oh, we didn't even ask. I'm over here being like, United States Surrogacy.
Yeah,
so it's us Surrogacy.
No.
It's United States. United States. Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
US,
okay.
US Surrogacy.
US Surrogacy. But put the LLC behind it.
Yeah, it needs the LLC if you're going to search for us.
For you guys to pop up. Okay.
That is us-surrogacy.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram and everything else. And that's where all the fun stuff happens on those other social media platforms. But yeah, you can find us. Dawn at us-surrogacy.com is my email. And you can always reach me there. And surrogacy and family building. It's my favorite topic in the whole world to talk about. So sorry, I was so chatty. I thought,
oh my gosh, this is a podcast. I would hope you're chatty.
Chatty. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Like I had your list of questions. I was
that's just a guideline.
And gosh, I hope I have enough to say, and probably our mouth farts.
No, we could. I'm sitting over here like an hour is not enough. I feel like we could totally talk to you again because you're just
the coolest subject.
Wealth of information. Yeah. Yes.
We talk about this all the time. This is all we want to talk about. So we're right there with you.
Friends and family are like, really? Again? More?
That's what they say to us too.
I'm an international program. I have a lot of domestic families as well, which I love, all over the United States. And I get to travel all over the world for work and meet amazing, hopeful parents all over the world that are relying on women like the two of you in the United States to help them.
Sweet.
So thank you for, I'm a military person, so I'll say thank you for your service.
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, thank you for yours.
Your service.
Because with agencies like you, it makes it a lot more comfortable and a lot more safe for intended parents and surrogates. Just speaking 100%. As a surrogate myself, I would feel really safe having you guide me on a journey. And that's saying a lot.
It is saying a lot coming from her. 100%. Yep.
Oh, thank you, Ellen.
I love my work, and I appreciate that you love your free work.
Yes. Oh yeah. Free
as well. But you're educating people about what this is and what it should be. And I don't hold anything against you for telling people to see the profile first. I
Okay,
realize,
good. I'm like, oh my God, she hates me.
no, I realize the benefit of that. And if it's
Yeah.
important to a surrogate, then I make it important to me too. And so no hard feelings that,
Okay.
we have different perspectives of that. And it's easy for me to see things your way. And I think you maybe saw things a little bit differently too.
Yeah,
That conversation. So I appreciate the
absolutely.
candor about around that topic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I
I
really and
totally
I
understand.
really appreciate you being open to having the conversation.
Right.
That's the
Right.
thing. If somebody's open to having the conversation on the other person's views,
We're open to listen.
people are always open to come to a compromise or something.
Boy, if they could apply that outside of surrogacy and just
Ugh,
in general, we wouldn't be in this.
we wouldn't be in this position.
Wouldn't it
we're
be
in,
a
but that's
beautiful
whole nother
world?
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a whole nother podcast. So
Ugh.
I'm getting ready to do a webinar for a big association out of the country on birthright citizenship and how that may affect getting them home
Yep.
with families. And it's a concern for families, everywhere where there's international programs outside of parents here in the US. So we'll see what that looks like. And maybe I'll talk to you again about that as it starts to
That'd be great.
shake out and we find pathways home for these families. So keep us in your hearts.
We will.
And attorneys too, as we navigate this new landscape.
Gosh, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
helping
you
those
so
families.
much
Thank
for
you.
taking the time to
Yes.
talk to us.
Yeah,
It was
that's
a
fun.
joy.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
much.
thank you. And I look forward to maybe seeing you in person one day.
Yes.
Yes.
Fun.
Thank you so much. Have a great
Yes,
evening.
thank you so much.
Thank you. It was really
All right.
nice to talk
That's
with you.
fun.
Soon. We'll see you in the
Take care.
fall.
Yeah, see you in the fall. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh, how awesome.
It was very, I
That
was just like, I could just sit back. She just keep talking.
No, but
I
like
just-
really, like we could do a whole other podcast, but I feel
Oh,
like we
heck
could like
yeah.
ask like a whole other thing of podcast questions. Like she's just very
Easily.
sweet and informative and
and very
yeah.
immersed in the community. Very immersed.
Yeah.
Which
and
I love.
knowledgeable on
Yeah.
like all things.
Because she had it from every angle. I was like, oh, I didn't really think about that with the whole
Right.
profile thing. Like
yeah.
that really opened my eyes. And I thought, you know what? Look
Because
at
no
that.
one has been respectful enough to sit
Correct.
us down and be like, oh, well, this is where we're coming from. Oh, okay, great. Because the people that I've worked with, that's not where they were coming from.
Exactly. But it seems that her agency is that way.
Right.
And they know their people they're working with so very, very well that why do you want to break hearts that way? And why do you want to get somebody invested? Let's just do it this way first.
Exactly.
Try it. Why not? Yeah.
Why not? Doesn't hurt.
Phenomenal.
Doesn't hurt.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Grace, for
Yay, Grace.
for introducing us so
Great.
much. And thank you so much, Dawn, for taking
Yes.
the time to talk with us. This was
was
your
lovely.
beautiful inside and out. And so thank you
Yes.
so much. If anybody has any questions or stories they would like to share, please feel free to reach out to us on Instagram at Stop.Sit.Surrogate, or you guys can email us at Stop.Sit.Surrogate@gmail.com. And this has been another episode of Stop.Sit.Surrogate with Kennedy and Ellen. Why are you laughing, Ellen?
I said you do that so well from like
I've done it
memory.
a billion times. All right. Have a great night, everyone.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. Also, check out the link to our YouTube channel in the description. And be sure to also check out our children's book, My Mom Has Superpowers, sold on Amazon and Etsy.